Okay, I wanted to show off my Sky Crane with Rover launcher, and here I have 5 mainsail engines. I do have some fins on the, not the center, but the outer inside ones. These guys are full of fuel. So is this. Here's my actual Rover. Got a fuel cell converter which turns the fuel tank into power if needed. The actual Rovemate has its own battery, so I didn't slap on a whole nother one, but I do have solar panels in case we run out of fuel. I do have some Spider engines, which I don't actually think I want those in hindsight. I think I want to put on some of these guys, the Twitch engines. I'll try that on my next iteration. Anyway, and then I've just got a little stacked decoupler between these guys so that when it's time to deploy the Rover, I can drop it real fast without having to worry about using the clampetron. But if I want to pick it back up, I have this clampetron, so I can pick it back up and move it somewhere, like if I dropped it inside a crater and want to explore somewhere else. I've got a bunch of lights because it's quite nice when you're landing to have an extra little data point for how close the ground is. I've got a bunch of little solar panels. Got the fuel cells on here to convert to electricity. I've got plenty of electricity here. I have a remote guidance unit so that I could bring an engineer if I wanted, so that I could repair wheels. And then these guys, I don't have any aerodynamic stuff on here, so when I'm leaving the atmosphere, it's not the best, but you know, it's a pretty giant thing anyway, so it's not particularly aerodynamic anyway. And then I got Septrons so that when I do my staging, that it separates without breaking the whole thing. Anyway, that's my Rover and Sky Crane that gets them on and back with one Kerbal. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I wanted to point out that I also have a fuel duct that goes from my lower stage to my upper stage here, so that I can run my Terrier engines to give me just a little bit extra boost while I'm trying to get out of the atmosphere. And when I'm out of the atmosphere and just have my center stage here, that they are also producing thrust for me. And each Terrier engine, you know, produces 60 kilonewtons of thrust, so it's not nothing. I could also try at some point swapping these bottom things for some twin bore engines, just to see what happens and see if I can make a little bit more efficient of a vehicle for money and maybe even power. Let's actually give that a try real quick. So right now it says we're at 1.61 thrust weight ratio when we start. That's with all these 5 plus the 4 engines above. Oh, it looks like those guys are improperly up there. Okay, here we go. 1.62 still. And our delta V total is 6292. Let's start swapping out some of these for twin bores just to see what happens. Twin bores also, I think, have a little bit more vectoring capability. And we'll want to reattach these guys. And I'll put these on just so we can have the same setup we had now. But alright, now we have a bunch of engines that need to move down. Much higher thrust weight ratio, and if I remember right, we were at 6.2 something 9, so it's pretty similar delta V, but we are at a much higher thrust weight ratio, so we can probably switch out this. Oh, let's see how much that was money-wise. We were at 161 before. Oh, we've actually saved money. We saved about 5 grand. Let's swap this out for one of these. Reattach on both sides and see what our thrust weight ratio is. That is acting up. Alright, let's move these down, down, down. 135. Oh, okay. So we're down to 132 now. So we've saved $29,000, and we're still at a pretty good 1.35 thrust weight ratio. If we wanted to, we could probably slap on some, I don't know, some Reliance down here, 1.44, and we're, Reliance are super cheap, $1,100 each. So this is probably much better setup for thrust weight ratio and cost. I'll give this a try on my next launch. Okay, I just wanted to try this real quick since I just built it. Might as well show it off. Here we go. So the next thing I want to look at is if it's even worth shooting these Terriers off this low in orbit, because I think that they get 60 kilonewtons of thrust in a vacuum, but I'm not sure that if they're helping terribly right now. Yeah, see, they're only doing 20, 21, 22. As we get more and more out of the atmosphere, I think they get better. So they might not even be worth wasting fuel on right now because of their specific thrust is low, and we have plenty of thrust without them, so because they're only contributing 80 kilonewtons of thrust right now, whereas like this Reliant by itself is 210. This Twin Wars shooting off almost 2,000, so 6,000 plus 6,500 or so. Yeah, so I'm at 13 kilometers, and I'm barely getting into these orange tanks. That's pretty good. I think that I might be a lot happier with this setup than the other one, just from its being $29,000 cheaper, or whatever the currency is called. Funds, I think everybody calls them. And I wonder if I slap some aerodynamic nose cones on here or something, if that would actually improve things. So I'm at 30. I'm going to start heading over in the 90 direction, wherever it is. There it is. Oh, I'm already at a really high APOAPS, 122. I did not need to go that high. I'm starting to flip. Whatever, I'm just going to fast forward this. And space. Alright, once I'm pointing in roughly the right direction, I like to hack it and just speed things up. Then turn it a little bit more. Because when you press this time button when you're in space, it actually ceases all of your angular momentum as long as you're not accelerating angularly. So I'm going to get a little bit closer. We're about 40 seconds away from our APOAPS, and I'm going to start thrusting. See, let's look at these guys. Now they have an impulse of 60 kilonewtons. These guys, how are they doing? They're right at 2,000. So they still get an improvement from being in a vacuum, but they're not quite as noticeable. Here we are running low on fuel, and 3, 2, 1, blast off. So I'm watching my APOAPS, try to keep it same. We're getting up to about 2,200 meters per second or so is our end goal. Our periaps right now, or if I'm watching it, it's at negative 360,000 kilometers. Or no, 360 kilometers, not 1,000 kilometers. And getting close to done. I'm trying to remember my other video, how much fuel I had left in my main. Here it comes. The flip around. Angle towards, oh, there we go. That's a little high than I wanted, but 118 is perfect. So I still got most of my fuel left from this main stage, which will get me definitely into lunar orbit. And so while I'm actually well, I don't know how much of that was me doing my gravity turn late, but I probably will get to the moon and still have plenty of Delta V. It says I have 4,800. That's plenty to get to the moon and back. I should only need like, I think it was like 2,500 once I'm in orbit. Anyway, I think this is a better setup. $30,000 less, definitely. If I had a contract, I would go with this just because it's cheaper. Thanks. Just so everyone can see, I'm going to try landing near the Monarch, and I have just a little bit of fuel left. I think this is actually going to be a much more efficient. I didn't come with too much fuel. I think I'm going to be a lot happier with this particular landing. Let's see how close we can get. I think I'm going to enjoy this landing a little bit better than the other ones. You can see the Monarch down here kind of sparkles a little bit. The way I get these is I have something landed there, or a flag, and I just set them as target. And you can see the little purple anti-target direction. We could just pick anti-target as our direction, but it's going to be fine. We're getting really close. As we get close, you'll see the impact time get smaller and smaller and smaller. We are going to get ready to go. Now, as soon as I see that run out of fuel, I hit the stage button. Whoa, what is going on with my turniness? Oh, I realize I am headed up or something. Oh, I had it on target. There we go. Let's get rid of that thing. That thing's just annoying. Alright, let's speed this up a little. Here we go. I want to get closer to the arch, so I'm going to point the direction I want to go. A little bit. There we go. I'm getting okay at this. Not the best, but definitely not the worst now. Ooh, I'm actually getting really close to the Monarch. This is great. This might be my best landing yet, as far as getting it where I intended. Dare I get a little bit closer? "10 seconds to land. Time to slow down. 15 seconds to landing." This is my best landing, as far as getting close to the target I wanted to hit. So if you watch your thrust to weight ratio, as long as you're above 1, you're going to be slowing down. The question is, how fast are you slowing down, or how fast are you speeding up? So if you're close to 1, you're going neither up nor down. So I did my little drop off. Now I'm going to want to, not die. There we go. Alright. Fortunately, these parts are fairly resilient. And there goes my rover. Let's hop out. And oh, I didn't bring a Kerbal, did I? Alright, well, that's for the next guy, I guess. Anyway, it looks like I have a good landing. Got right next to the arch. And my other ship is over here, I think, on the other side. I can't see it. Oh well. Anyway, I would have been able to get back home, I think, because I have another 3,000 Delta V. That's more than enough. And thanks for watching again. This has been fun iterating on my design. Okay, since I didn't bring a Kerbal, I'm going to try picking up my rover. I have not tried this yet, so I might as well try it and record it, just because it's fun. Woo! Thrust to weight ratio too high. Don't crash into the arch. Nope, other direction. Okay, this is going to be bad. Boom. Wee-hee-hee! Alright, helicopter. I think this could be bad for any Kerbals I come in contact with. Wow, this is hilarious. I might get into orbit with this guy. Clearly, having a lot of spin is helping me out here. I need to keep it up then. This is so funny. I love it. Okay, I'm holding down the rotate with Q button. And I can't believe I'm going to get into orbit with just one Terrier with this thing. This is so hilarious. But at least I'll be able to reuse this fuel if I have enough when I get up in orbit. Lend it to somebody that stops by. I guess I could have just left it on the ground, but I was pretty sure I was just going to crash, so the fact that I'm potentially going to get into orbit with this is just so funny. I've got 2,500 Delta V. I am pretty sure I'm going to be fine getting into orbit. Okay, I'm going to be up high, and I have to start spinning again as soon as I can. Spin. Spin like your life depends on it, robot. Spin. Alright. 20. Alright, I'm gonna make it into a circular orbit at 75,000. This is so funny. Boom. I cannot believe I got this back into orbit. This is just so ridiculous. Turn the lights off. I have a little bit of solar panel left. That is just so great. And if somebody wanted to dock with this, they could steal the leftover 300 something fuel. Okay, I'm calling it quits for real this time.